They told me the golden years would be surrounded by grandchildren, phone calls, and people who love you. They lied. I am 83 years old. I have buried a husband, watched children move across the country, and sat alone on more birthdays than I care to count. And I say this not for your pity. I say it so you hear what nobody told me when I was 60, 65, or even 70. The people you are counting on to be there, life will pull them away. Not because they don't love you, but because life is busy, and busy doesn't stop for anyone, not even you. So I had a choice: crumble, or build something that didn't depend on anyone else showing up. I chose to build. And today, at 83, I want to give you the blueprint. Because what I built didn't just save my old age, it gave me the best years of my entire life. Here is what they do not tell you when you turn 60. Your health stops being something that happens to you and starts being something you must actively run, like a business, like a household, like something with stakes high enough to demand your full attention. For most of my younger years, I showed up to the doctor when something hurt. I took the prescription. I followed the instructions. I was a patient, passive, obedient, waiting to be told what to do. And for a while, that was enough. Nobody questioned it. Nobody suggested there was another way. You felt pain, you reported it, and you trusted that the person in the white coat had everything under control. That was the agreement we all silently made. It is not enough anymore. After my husband passed and I found myself navigating doctor's appointments alone, I realized no one in that waiting room was going to advocate for me the way I needed to be advocated for. The physician had 12 minutes. The specialist had notes from someone else. The pharmacy had a system, and I was just a name on a file. Nobody was connecting the dots. Nobody was seeing the full picture of me. My history, my fears, my questions I forgot to ask because the room felt too rushed and my voice felt too small. So I became my own health manager. And before I go any further, if what I am sharing today is reaching something inside you, if even one of these words is landing somewhere that matters, I would ask you to do one small thing. Hit that subscribe button, because this conversation does not end here. Every week I show up with more of what I know, more of what I have lived, more of what I wish someone had told me decades ago. And I would love for you to be there for it. Now, where were we? I started keeping a simple notebook. Every medication, every dosage, every appointment, every question I wanted to ask before I forgot it in the waiting room. And let me tell you, that notebook changed everything. Because when you walk in with questions written down, something shifts. The dynamic changes. You stop being a passive recipient and start being a participant in your own care. I learned what my numbers meant: blood pressure, cholesterol, blood sugar. I stopped nodding along and started asking why. Why this medication? What are the alternatives? What should I watch for? What happens if I don't? I scheduled my own preventive screenings instead of waiting to be reminded. I found a doctor who listened, truly listened, not just typed while I talked. And when I found one who didn't, I found another. I paid attention to sleep, to stress, to the way my body felt after certain foods or certain days. I started noticing the quiet signals long before they became emergencies. And more than once, that attention made all the difference. I also stopped being embarrassed about asking for second opinions. Your pride is not worth your life. Neither is your politeness. Personal health management is not about becoming a hypochondriac. It is not about anxiety or obsession. It is about becoming the CEO of the one body you have been given, the only one you will ever have, and the foundation upon which every other part of your life rests. Because at this age, no one is going to manage it for you. Your children will worry, but they will not remember your medication schedule. Your doctor will advise, but they will not live in your skin. You are the only one present for every single day of your health. Every morning, every symptom, every small decision that quietly adds up to years. Manage it accordingly. Your independence and everything that comes after depends on it. I have watched people my age disappear into themselves, not from illness, from stillness. They stopped being curious. They stopped learning. They decided somewhere around 65 or 70 that the world was no longer speaking to them, that new things were for younger people, that the effort of understanding something unfamiliar was no longer worth it. And slowly, quietly, without anyone noticing at first, they began to fade, not in body, but in presence, in aliveness. I refused that, and I want to be honest with you about what that refusal actually looked like, because it was not glamorous. It was not some grand intellectual awakening. It was small. It was uncomfortable. It was, more than once, humiliating in the most ordinary and human way possible. I started reading books I never would have picked up at 40. History, philosophy, novels about people whose lives looked nothing like mine. And at first, some of it confused me. Some of it challenged beliefs I had carried for decades without ever examining them. That discomfort, I came to understand, was not a warning sign. It was a sign that something real was happening inside my mind. Growth has never felt entirely comfortable at any age. I learned to use a computer at 74, poorly at first, and I mean poorly. I called my grandson more times than I can count over things that made him laugh, and I let him laugh because I was learning, and learning mattered more than my dignity in that moment. And then one day, it clicked, and then another thing clicked, and suddenly I was reading articles from places I had never heard of, and watching lectures from universities I would never have been able to visit, and writing emails to people across the world who shared the same strange, specific interests I had always kept quietly to myself. I joined a book club, not because I needed more social obligations, but because I needed people who would argue with me about ideas, who would make me defend what I thought and why. There is nothing that keeps a mind sharper than having to explain itself to someone who disagrees. I kept a journal that no one will ever read, every day or close to it, not because I thought my thoughts were important, but because the act of putting them into words forced me to actually have them, fully, completely, with honesty I might not have managed out loud. Your mind, when you feed it, becomes your greatest companion. It entertains you at 3 a.m. when you cannot sleep, and the house is too quiet, and the grief or the worry comes creeping in. It gives you things to think about on a slow Tuesday afternoon. It keeps you interesting, to others, yes, but more importantly to yourself. And that is the only audience that shows up consistently, every single day, without fail. Because here is what I know now that I wish someone had told me at 60. The mind does not have to slow down just because the calendar keeps moving. It slows when we stop feeding it. It dims when we stop asking it to stretch. Do not let your mind retire. Keep it moving. Keep it hungry. Keep it gloriously, stubbornly alive. For most of my life, my purpose was other people. My husband, my children, my job, my church, my neighbors who needed something and knew I would show up. And there is nothing wrong with that. I want to be clear about that. I would not trade a single moment of it. That life was full and real and meaningful in ways I still carry with me every single day. Being needed by the people you love is one of the most profound experiences a human being can have. But here is what I learned at 71, sitting in that silent house after everyone had gone back to their lives. When the people who defined your purpose go on with their lives, as they should, as they must, you discover very quickly whether you have anything left that belongs only to you. And for a long time, I did not. I had given so completely, so willingly, for so many decades, that I had never stopped to ask what I wanted when no one was asking anything of me. That silence was the most honest thing I had ever faced. I tried filling it the way many of us do at first. I stayed busy. I cleaned things that did not need cleaning. I called people who were politely glad to hear from me, but had their own days to get back to. I watched television until it felt like company, and none of it worked, because none of it was mine. None of it grew from something inside me. It was all just noise to cover the quiet. And then one spring morning, almost without thinking, I walked out to the small patch of ground behind my house, and I planted something. Nothing remarkable, a few tomatoes, some herbs I wasn't sure I'd even use. But I got down on my knees in the dirt, and I put something living into the ground, and I was responsible for whether it survived. That was the beginning. For me, it was gardening. Modest, ordinary gardening that no one would ever write an article about or invite me to speak on. But I grew things. I tended them through the heat and the dry weeks, and the mornings when I didn't feel like getting up. I watched something small and fragile become something real and nourishing because of what I gave it. Because I showed up for it, day after day, asking nothing in return but the quiet satisfaction of seeing it grow. And I realized that was enough. more than enough. That purpose does not have to be impressive to be powerful. It does not have to change the world to change your morning. It simply has to be yours, chosen by you, tended by you, answerable to no one but you. Your purpose in this season will look different from mine. Maybe it is painting or writing or volunteering somewhere that genuinely needs what only you can offer. Maybe it is teaching something you know to someone who doesn't. Maybe it is something you gave up years ago and quietly missed ever since. Whatever it is, it does not need to be grand. It does not need to impress anyone sitting in this room or anywhere else. A purpose is simply something that makes you glad to have woken up this morning, and that answer belongs to no one but you. Let me tell you something about loneliness that nobody warns you about. It does not announce itself. It does not arrive all at once like a storm you can see coming and prepare for. It creeps in slowly, quietly, in the spaces between phone calls that get shorter, and visits that get less frequent, and days that start to look exactly like the ones before them. And before you realize what has happened, you have gone 3 days without a real conversation, not a transaction, not a pleasantry, but an actual human exchange where someone looked at you and saw you. And you have started to wonder if you are becoming invisible. I know that feeling. I lived inside it. And I am here to tell you it does not have to be where you stay. Not family, not old friends who remember who you used to be and love you through the lens of 40 years ago. I mean people who see who you are, right now, at this age, in this season, with everything you have lived through and everything you have become. People who are not loving you out of obligation or history, but out of genuine recognition. That is a different kind of connection entirely. And it is one that becomes more essential, not less, the older we get. I found mine at a senior center I almost did not walk into because I told myself it was for old people. I was 73. I stood outside that door for longer than I care to admit, talking myself out of it with every excuse I could manufacture. I was too private. I wouldn't fit in. I was past the age of making real friends. I had enough in my life already, even though some part of me knew that was not entirely true. I walked in anyway, and I want to tell you what I found on the other side of that door, because it matters. I found women who laughed the way I laughed, women who had outlived marriages and children's expectations and careers and grief and their own younger selves, and who were still showing up every week with something to say and the energy to say it. Women who did not need me to perform wellness or pretend the hard parts were not hard. Women who understood, without explanation, exactly what this season of life feels and costs and occasionally gives. We did not become friends because we had everything in common. We became friends because we were all present, all willing, all brave enough to walk through that same door and admit, without saying it out loud, that we needed each other. Community after 60 does not build itself the way it did when the children were young and the neighborhood was loud and connection happened almost by accident. You must choose it now. You must seek it with the same intention you bring to everything else that matters in your life. You must walk through the door when every part of you wants to stay home, where it is safe and quiet and familiar. Because isolated people do not just get lonely, they get fragile in ways that go far deeper than the body. And there is a particular kind of strength, irreplaceable and sustaining, that only comes from being truly witnessed by another human being who is not obligated to love you. Go find your people. They are already waiting for you to walk through the door. Let me say something that most women of my generation were never taught to say out loud, never given permission to say, and in many cases were quietly discouraged from even thinking about. Money matters. Especially when you are old, especially when you are alone, especially when the person who used to handle it is no longer there, and you are sitting at a kitchen table surrounded by envelopes you are afraid to open because you do not know what they mean or what they require of you. I am going to say it plainly because I think you deserve plainness on this subject. Financial ignorance is not humility. It is not devotion. It is not what a good wife or a good mother looks like. It is vulnerability dressed up in a lifetime of being told that someone else would take care of it. And when that someone else is gone, through death, through divorce, through distance, that vulnerability does not stay quiet. It becomes the loudest thing in the room. I was fortunate. My husband and I had been careful together. We saved. We did not spend foolishly. But I know women, good women, loving women, women who gave everything they had to the people around them, who handed every financial decision to their husbands for 40 years and found themselves at 70 with no idea what they owned, what they owed, or how long what remained would last. And when those husbands were gone, they were not just grieving. They were helpless in a way that grief alone does not make you. They were dependent on children who meant well, but had their own pressures, or on systems that did not see them as individuals, but as cases to be managed. That is a cruelty no woman should have to face, and it is a cruelty that is entirely preventable. So I want to tell you what I did and what I wish I had done sooner. I sat down with every statement, every account, every insurance document, every pension letter I had been filing away without reading. I made myself understand what I had. Not perfectly. I am not a financial expert, and I never will be. But sufficiently. Enough to know my income, my expenses, what was protected and what was exposed, and what my life would look like if something changed tomorrow without warning. I asked questions I had been too embarrassed to ask before. I found a financial advisor who did not make me feel foolish for starting late. I learned the difference between what I needed and what I could afford, and I made decisions based on both, not on fear, not on what someone else thought was best for me, but on my own informed understanding of my own life. Because here is the truth that nobody says at the retirement party. Nobody puts on the greeting card. Nobody mentions in the gentle conversations about growing older gracefully. Money is dignity. It is the ability to choose your own doctor and stay in your own home and say no to arrangements that diminish you, and yes to the small daily pleasures that remind you that your life still belongs to you. It is the difference between asking for help and commanding respect, between surviving on someone else's terms and living entirely on your own. At 83, my financial independence is not about luxury or accumulation or anything that looks impressive from the outside. It is about never having to move somewhere I do not want to move, never having to depend on another person's goodwill just to get through the month, never having to shrink my life, my choices, or my voice because I did not plan for the years that were always coming. It is not too late to start knowing. Your money is yours. Understand it, protect it, and let it protect you. I do not tell you this story from a rocking chair of regret. I tell you from a life that is, right now, today, at 83, fuller than it has ever been. Not because everything went according to plan, nothing did, but because I stopped waiting for rescue and started building on ground that was mine. Your family loves you, your friends mean well, but love and meaning well cannot be the foundation of your security, because love gets busy and meaning well gets distracted. Build your health, protect your finances, feed your mind, choose your community, carry your purpose. These 5 pillars will not let you down. They are yours, completely, unshakably yours. And if an 83-year-old woman who once couldn't balance a checkbook or walk to her mailbox without pain can build this life, so can you. Starting today, starting right now.